G'day and welcome back to RC Model Reviews and another showcase video where I show you the stuff that's come in during the week and we take a very quick look at it before we stick it in the review pile so you know what's coming up. And if you've got questions or comments about the individual products before I review them, you can ask and I'll try and address those issues in the reviews. And if you want something reviewed, then say so, because then I'll prioritize the review queue accordingly. Now, this week I got a big box from DYS. Okay, here's the first thing that came in, or came out of the big box that DYS sent. See, DYS, we all know who DYS is. They sent this and it looks pretty damn exciting. An X160 miniquad, micro quad, I don't know. It's really small. There's my hand, look. And I don't know, they have, like Walkera, they seem to have come up with a need to have a slogan. My drone, my way. Really, I don't care. I just want a good drone that flies, a good mini quad that flies really nicely. Now this does look pretty good. Let's see what I got in the box. This is the quad itself. Now look, as I say, it's really small, it just fits in the palm of my hand. I'm sure lots of dainty little Chinese ladyfingers were used to put this together because it's plug and fly. It comes, you plug your battery in, you plug your receiver in, and they do provide a lead for the receiver. Now, this goes into the flight controller. Unfortunately for me, it's a CC3D, and you know the bad luck I've had trying to get CC3Ds to work with me. They just seem to hate me with a vengeance. And so it'll be interesting to see if I can get it going. I wish it had a NAS in it. Come on, you guys. What's wrong with using NAS 32 or NAS 32 compatible boards? What's with this open pilot thing? What do you want? You know, why this CC3D? But having said that, it is flashed with clean flight. Clear flight? You know, clean flight, yeah, that's it. And it is pre-tuned, so they say, which means if I strike it, it should go bing, yep, bing. See, it's pre-tuned, right frequency. But anyway, it's got little dainty little motors. Look at that, eh? Oh, my big budgie man fingers could never have mounted those motors on there without an apoplectic fit ensuing. It has a CMOS camera on the front. Oh, so CMOS cameras are about 20 bucks cheaper than a good CCD camera with wide dynamic range. And there's no comparison in terms of performance on those dull overcast days when the sky consists of nothing more than a really bright sheet of cloud. So I wish they'd put a CCD in there. And I wish they hadn't used a CC3D for the flight controller. But wait, it gets worse. Something else that they include in the package is one of these. Anyone remember those? Remember the review I did of this with included this antenna in there? This is the dual band 2.4 and 5.8 gigahertz. And I have to say it works just as well on both bands. You know, you get the same performance on 2.4 gigahertz as you get on 5.8. And that performance is 100% crap. Absolute crap. Never mind. So those are the downsides. On the plus sides, it's really small, it's really light. They say on the box, and it must be true, that it weighs 113 grams, including the motor, ESC, and props. Now, speaking of props, they give you a dainty little bag of tiny little props you could pick your teeth with, little tiny ones, like 3x2, I think. What does it say? Yep, 3x2. And they mount on the motor shaft with a couple of little screws. No nut on the top. You've got a couple of little cap head screws go through there. Quite an unusual mounting system. So it's supposed to be, with the props, supposed to be 113 grams. I have the scales here, the scales that don't show the blood. Let's have a look. Ooh, let's put it on now. No props, no antenna. It should be lighter than 113 grams. And they lie, it's 120. So you can't believe what's written on the box. If I throw that antenna on, where is it? I've lost it. It's a good thing. If I put the antenna on, then it's going up there to 129. If I throw the props on, we're up to 135. So the 113 is pretty damn optimistic, isn't it? And if you're going to throw a battery on there, it'll take up to a 3-cell 1000 milliampere hour battery. They recommend 35C. So yeah, I get a bit concerned when they tell porkies on the box. And also we'll quick look at the user manual. It's not a user manual, I'm sorry, it's just not a user manual. It's a specification sheet. Okay, it tells you about the measurements and what the different bits are called and all that sort of stuff. But it doesn't tell you how to set it up. It doesn't tell you how to set up the clean flight or controller. It doesn't tell you how to connect this to your receiver because it has separate pins, separate connectors for each channel. Now, if I want to use my XSR receiver, which I'll be talking about in a moment, this doesn't have separate pin output, it has S-Bus. I want to use S-Bus on here. Can I connect this up through here? Well, I probably can, but it doesn't tell you. It doesn't tell you in the instructions anything about that. So this is not a plug and fly, because you need to know a fair bit to get this going, unfortunately. And so DYS hopefully will be looking at that. Or you get a battery strap too, by the way. But I'm going to review that with an open mind, because I'd really like this to be as nicely, to be as nice as it looks. I mean, it's cute. It's got the little circuit board built into the top frame member. On some quads, I'd say that's a bit of a downside, because if you crack that, it's going to stop working. And it's also got the ESCs built into the arms. Again, this is proprietary. You can't just go and buy yourself a one hung low brand ESC and replace that. If it fails, you've got to buy a whole arm from DYS. You know, pros and cons. So as a little quad, I really hope it flies well. And if it does, I'll be chuffed to bits. But we'll find out when I review it. In the meantime, it's a good idea from DYS. Maybe a little bit lacking in the specification. Crappy camera, crappy antenna, and crappy flight controller from where I stand. But we'll find out. Let's keep an open mind. What else did I get in that big box from DYS? And DYS sent me some props, of course. Big box of props to review. We've got their high performance prop, they say. They're all 2-bladers, I'm afraid. Everyone's going 3 and 4 bladers now, so 2-bladers a bit late in the game for 2-bladers, but I'll be doing a separate video on why the blade count, or what the blade count means when you're flying mini quads and aircraft. Why do some props have more blades than others? What does it mean? What are the pros and cons? I'll do a video on that very shortly, but we've got some, what is this one? This is 4x4. I think they've got 4x4.5 as well. I've got some 3x4.5. I've got some 3x3. So there's a whole, that's 3.5 by 3.5. Anyway, lots of different sizes, that's all I'll say. Lots of different sizes. So something there to suit everybody. I'll be checking those out, which is just as well, because I also have some Dell props. Got some Dell props from Surveilzone. They came in as well. Just move that out of the way. Dell props, and here are some 3-bladers. Now I want to, obviously 3-bladers are all the rage. I've got to test some 3-bladers against 2-bladers and test the Dell props against the DYS props. So there's a lot of propping going to be going on here at the RC Model Reviews Lab. A lot of work goes into testing these things out. Efficiency, thrust, and weight, and all that sort of stuff. All important, and of course balance, quality of manufacture. We're looking at all those things. Now, as I say, DYS sent me a big box of stuff, and included was some new ESCs. These are the new 20 amp ESCs that DYS are making. Oh, there we go. I'll get in tight on this so you can have a look. Here they are, the new ones, not the DYS or SN20s or whatever they were, which, bit unfortunate. They started out with a hiss and a roar, but then something happened and they just didn't work anymore. I don't know whether it was an update to the BL Heli software that nobbled them, but they really were quite bad. These ones, we'll see how they go. What I am liking about these ones is the fact that they don't have wires on them, they've got solder pads. So the wires from your motor can solder directly onto the ESC. That's much more convenient than having to join wires or unsolder the wires on your ESC so you can solder on the motor wires. That's great. Another thing I really like is it comes with this little plastic thing here. And the idea is that you put your ESC in the plastic thing, like that. Once you've soldered all the wires on, snip that together, then that can go on the arm of your mini quad, and you've got plenty of ventilation, as well as the fact that the cable ties are not going to be pushing on components on the board of the ESC. Now that's a really, really clever little move by DYS, and so that's an excellent piece of kit. But of course I'll be testing it, see how it stacks up against things like the Little Bs and the older DYS and some of the other ESCs that are on the market. And finally, out of the big box from DYS comes these motors, mini quad motors, 2204, 2300 kV. And you might think, wow, the market is flooded with mini quad motors. Why do we need more? Well, if I move this over a bit, you'll be able to see why. Look, it's got a hollow shaft. See at the top there? That shaft is hollow. And you might think, oh, that just makes it weaker, doesn't it? Well, no, because for a given weight, a tube is actually stronger than a rod. That is, a rod is a shaft with no hole in it. A tube obviously has a hole down the middle. Now this has a hole down the middle, so this enables them to use a much bigger diameter shaft. Most mini quad motors are using 3mm shafts. This is a 5mm shaft, and it means that for the same weight you get an awful lot more strength. And notice there's no C-clip on the bottom, no circlip. It's got a screw and a captivating ring there, which means that this should be a hell of a lot stronger than your average mini quad motor. And maybe the bearings are bigger. I can't tell. I'll have to have a look inside, but hopefully the bearings are bigger, which means that the bearings should last longer. But I have a feeling that may taper down a bit. We'll soon find. When we pull it apart, we'll know whether this is a real kick-ass idea, a good motor, or whether it's just a little bit of a gimmick. But I'm quite hopeful at this stage. And of course these motors come in a plastic box because they're special edition. And unfortunately, they come in clockwise and anti-clockwise versions. I mean, I don't see the point. I mean, okay, if you're consumer grade thing, then you can use clockwise, counterclockwise, so the props don't fly off. But when we're racing, we use lock nuts or nylocks, so that the props aren't going to come off anyway. And having to keep a spare clockwise and a spare counterclockwise motor just puts the price of mini quad flying up. So I hope they sell these. I got a set which is 2 clockwise, 2 counterclockwise. Oh, sorry, yeah, 2 clockwise, 2 counterclockwise. I hope they sell them in sets with just clockwise, just the normal screw thread. I'd hate to think you're forced into using the counterclockwise ones. Let's see how that goes. Guess when they hit the stores, if they're not there already, we'll know. But in the meantime, I'll be testing that because I got some other motors as well. We got this 2205 from RCTimer, and it's the FPV Race Edition, and it's a 2300 2205. I think it says on there. I can't quite read that, but yep. This is obviously also has a large shaft, but notice this isn't a hollow shaft, but it is a smaller shaft, 3 millimeters on the back side. So it's a traditional construction, traditional design. It looks a bit like the Emax motors. It'll be interesting to see how well this performs as well. So it'll be going head to head with the motor from DYS. Of course, being a 2205, I would expect a little more power out of this, and we'll test them out, see how they go. Needless to say, these don't come in a, we'll see that. Needless to say, these don't come in a fancy plastic case. They come in a cardboard box, which means more of the money hopefully is going into the motor and less is going into the packaging. Because once you take the motors out of the box, well, you know, that box, what do you do with it? And some of the stuff I ordered from Hobby King has come in. I've got the XSR, what is it? It's the XSR receiver. So this receiver has way too much R. It's got an excess of R. And the reason I bought this is your typical mini quad, or it looks like it could be the typical mini quad receiver of the future. Most of us were using D4R2s from FrSky with the CPPM output. Then a lot of us switched to the X4Rs, which had an S-bus output. Now this is like an X4R, which doesn't have all the unnecessary superfluous stuff. So it's smaller, it's lighter, it has S-bus output. And so that's going to be a really kick-ass mini quad receiver. The Bolt 210 that I was sent by Bolt, that has one of these in it. And I'll also be reviewing this one separately. That's why I bought it, so I can give it a jolly good thrashing on the bench. And we'll take it out and we'll give it a thrashing in the field as well. In the same box from Hobby King came the F4, what is it? Hang on. The Race 32 flight controller. It's got the floating point NAIS 32 board in it, and well, NAIS 32 compatible board. It's not a NAIS 32, I don't think. It's a different controller. Comes in a nice little plastic case, and just looking at it, I think this one's probably got the compass and the barometer in it as well. It wasn't cheap. You don't need compass and barometer, I don't know why, but this was the only one I saw that I could buy on the day, so I thought I'd grab this and give it a test, see how it goes, because I don't have any of the floating point flight controllers, the new ARM F4, F3 flight controllers on me. I thought I'd give this a go, do a comparison between these and the more traditional NAIS 32 revision 4, see how they stack up. It also came with a huge box of cables. Look, it's stuffed full. I mean, my God, like how many cables do you need? But that'll be, I'll look at that, see how many cables you do need. With S-bus input, you just need one cable from your receiver to the flight controller, then you have your ESCs plugged in. The rest of it, who knows? Also, of course, you want telemetry, because one of the downsides I noticed already of this little receiver is it doesn't have an analog input for your battery monitoring. So all your telemetry has to come through the smart bus, which makes it, in my mind, not quite as good as the X4R, but we'll find out. Still looking at mini quads. This arrived. It's the, what is it? Is it Dquad RefleX? I don't know. Comes in a box, and inside there is a frame, whole lot of goody bits in here. There are some stickers. Woohoo! Dquad RefleX. I always love stickers. Everyone knows I love stickers. And here's the card, so I can look it up on the interweb, and so can you. It's the, yeah, it is the Dquad RefleX. And get more on that at, what is it, dquad.nl/reflex.html. There you go. So there's a QR code there. I don't know if you can scan that. But we'll be looking at that, and as I say, all these things I try to put links in the description of the video, so if you want more information you can go and look at the product links. And at this stage I'm not endorsing a damn thing, because this is just, they've come in and this is what goes into the review queue. And look at this for you fixed wing flyers, you love this, I love it, it's great. Look, it is, if I open, here we go, show you the manual, there we go, TBRC Wings. It's a Reflex 38 from TBRC. They sent me a cap and then they sent me the wings to go with it. That's great. I use their cap as my hat cam now. It's brilliant, the little cap they sent me as my hat cam. There we go. That's what they look like when they're done. The box, give you a quick gander inside. Ooh, nicely packaged. Got some stickers. Whoa, some decals to make it look pretty, I guess. Yep, there we go. Ooh, hey look. It's even got rcmodelreviews.com on it. How cool is that? Woohoo! So Yep, oh, it's a bit sticky at the end there. They didn't survive the transit too good, but I'm sure they'll be fine. Look at that, brilliant. So they will make it look really pretty and customized. We all love customized stuff, don't we? And inside, black. Black, because black is the new orange, apparently. So they tell me on Netflix. It all looks to be very nicely packaged. I'm not going to unbox it, as you know. It looks like EPP. Woohoo! So it should be tough as old boots. But that will be coming up. We'll be doing a build on that. It's even got some of the film for covering it. It's a very comprehensive looking kit. I'm liking it a lot. To quote Ali Shanmao, which way does this go? This goes that way, hopefully. So I'll be taking great care of this. There's a build table. I'm doing my build table this week. So I'll be all set to do builds. And this will be right up there, one of the first builds that I do. So thank you very much, TBRC. And as I say, all you fixed wing flyers, you'll be looking forward to this. Because I love wings. I've got my little Tix, what is it, Bonsai, that flies really good, as you'll have seen on my XJet channel. And the address, if you want to send stuff, of course, is there, but where are we? Oh, I won't show you his address, but to blot that out, I suppose. But yeah, you can't see the address. Never mind. Oh, this is such a poorly planned video. Never mind. So there you go. That's some of the fixed wing stuff that came in this week. Well, it's actually all the fixed wing stuff that came in this week. I've got some more stuff coming in a week or two. I'll show you that then. And hey, look what also came in. This is, when I first got this, I thought it was a mat for takeoff and landing your mini quad, but it's not. It's a work mat for working on quads, virtually anything. It's the cool thing about it, it comes from GorillaQuads, by the way, and it's even been emblazoned with the RC Model Reviews name here. Thank you. Nice personalized touch. Now, the great thing about this is often when you're working on things like mini quads or whatever, where's a mini quad? Oh gosh, here's one. Where did that come from? No idea. When you're working on things like mini quads and that, and you're taking screws and nuts and bolts out, they'll often roll around off the bench. But look at this. This, you know, it's got these little bits here that stop things from rolling around, and you've got other little areas here where you can compartmentalize your screws and things, so you know which screws came from where. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. It's a really nice idea. It's flexible, nice and flexible, so it'll you know, fit nicely on any bench. Oh, it's a really cool mat. You'll probably see this quite a bit in my upcoming videos, because if I'm working on something, this is just a great way to make sure I don't lose things, because previously I had to use these little plastic containers and fill them up with the nuts and bolts as I was working, and then you knock one of these over and it's a real nightmare finding all the bits as they fall on the floor. But this is such a really good idea that I'm going to use it a lot. Wonderful. Thank you, GorillaQuads. There it is. That's a week's worth of goodies that arrived here at RC Model Reviews, and we'll go now into the review queue. Now, if you've got any specific questions about any of these items, please let me know, and I will attempt to address those questions when I do the reviews. And if there's something you want to see reviewed before everything else, then say so, and I'll try and prioritize the review queue so that the reviews most people are interested in get pushed to the front. Right, so that's it for another showcase video. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you doing so. And if you're not a subscriber, why not tick the subscribe button and you'll get notified when all the other RC Model Reviews videos go up. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. A little bit of an update on the little X160 that DYS sent in. I have been able to get it to connect to Clean Flight so I can access the controller and do some setting up things, because obviously I've got to set it up for my transmitter. I'm immensely disappointed, however, that the cable that comes with it here, this one here, which I showed you, it's got standard servo connectors here and the little port for the fixed ID connectors on the CC3D. It's designed to go into a PWM receiver. That's one that has a port for each channel, which means the smallest one, and because we've need at least 5 channels, the smallest FrSky receiver I can use on this thing is the X6R. Huge, it's massive. It's too big to go between the plates like this. You can't fit it in there, so you have to mount on the top, which is, you know, it's crazy. Why do you need to use such a huge receiver on such a tiny little machine? Because if I want to use S-Bus on the CC3D, I can't use this cable, and this is the only one they provide, because this one goes into the fixed ID connector. I need to use what they call the main port, which is one of these little ports here. There's no cable for that. They're not providing any cable for that, so I can't use one of those receivers. It's a pain in the backside. Now I may be able to use CPPM. I'll have a look at that. But with something this small, I wanted minimum latency, because latency will have a bigger effect on a smaller craft. It'll, you know, because these things are so nimble, you know, you really don't want any latency. So I just wanted to use the new FrSky XSR receiver, which only has an S-Bus output for this. I just wanted to have this stuck in here. Look, it fits beautifully between the plates. That'd be a gorgeous receiver to use in this thing. The use of the CC3D controller and only providing this cable means it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So my enthusiasm for this machine has been somewhat dampened by, as I said, some poor design choices, in my opinion, using CC3D instead of NAS. That's, even though I can get it to connect, I'm still hogtied in terms of my receiver choices because they don't provide cables you need to do the rest of it. And other little things like, you actually got to plug the battery in to get the CC3D to connect via the USB. The NAS, you just plug it into the computer and it goes. I'm still not warmed to the CC3D, and the fact I'm going to have to use that makes it even less impressive to me. There you go, just thought I'd give you an update. So this may not be reviewed as quickly as you'd like because I'm going to have to do a hell of a lot of work. I have to find myself a cable, hook it into the main port, reconfigure everything to make it go. Yeah, what a shame. This is supposed to be plug and play. This, should be able to just throw a receiver in there, a small receiver, not one that's a third the size of the quad, and fly the damn thing. In that respect, a bit of a fail. But we'll see what happens. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching.